The clarity that he speaks is only as clear as our hearts are. And with ill-postured heart, it makes it impossible to not only hear him, but to be obedient to him. You're either fully on or you're fully off. And that is your connection with God in Jesus Christ. 3, 2, 1, bang. What's going on, YouTube? This is Nick again. Thank you for tuning into my channel today. You know, it's a Friday night, sitting home. I was doing a bit of reading today. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts ever, The Deep End with Taylor Welch. And I was just bumping ideas back and forth with the wife. And life is incredible. Life is truly remarkable, the way that God has created it for us. And that's what I'm here to tell you guys today. I want to speak to each one of you and really take you down the journey that I'm trying to unravel myself. And I think I'm not alone when I say hearing God's voice is what we all want, and it's what we all need. And hearing God's voice and receiving clarity from God's voice are two totally different things. And the third thing, which is the hardest part, is the obedience behind hearing God's voice. Before I moved out to Washington, I was in New York and I invited God into my life. And shortly after I invited God into my life, I had a life-changing experience, and it was a panic attack that I will never forget. I am still dealing with some of the symptoms, if you even want to call it that, of that day. And since having that, I've been trying to work my brain around speaking to God, because I invited him in. And if he wanted to shake me that hard from everything that I had identified myself in and with, I wanted to understand why. And I wanted to know on a deeper level where he wanted to take me and where he still wants to take me. And in listening to God, I've found that the clarity that he speaks is only as clear as our hearts are. And with ill-postured heart, it makes it impossible to not only hear him, but to be obedient to him. I thought he would tell me exactly what to do and how to do it, and he has done exactly that without me knowing. And since I didn't know, I felt like maybe it was my own thoughts, maybe it was my own direction and guidance that I was putting into this ideology of God. And what that did was ultimately hurt a pretty big opportunity that I had moved out here for to begin with. And what I'm learning through learning to speak with God is that he speaks in stillness. He speaks in the quietest, most, I wouldn't say it as such, but insignificant, how we think in human thought process, insignificant ways. But he speaks through stillness and conviction. And once you're able to tap into that, which I'm still unraveling myself, I've come a long way since where I was, you're able to embark on the journey that you were meant for. And it's not even always about hearing words. A lot of it is probably feeling. I would have to say, feeling in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit, where God is pointing your mind to continue to either wrestle with or continue to think about, or whatever it might be. If your mind continues to come back to that, the chance of that being God, I've found, is extremely high. And one thing that I've had to come to terms with is to stop expecting like a firework from God. You know, we look in the sky and it's like, get this job, talk to this girl, whatever it might be. And it's so far from the truth. There are no fireworks with God. It is stillness. And until we're able to find joy and peace and clarity in the stillness, we will not be able to speak to God. Another way that I would say God speaks is not even always through words or feelings, but through pulling. If you find that he keeps pulling you in a certain direction and there's not really much logic behind it, chances are, almost guaranteed, that's probably God pulling you and guiding you in a direction that he wants you to be in. And if we can buckle up for that ride, it might not make sense now, but it's going to be a life-changing experience, whether it be growth, whether it be spiritual, whether it be a physical relocation. There's so much to be had when we buckle up and we let God drive our life. And when you're finally listening to God, even if things don't make sense, even in my own life right now, there's a couple things that don't make sense, but I have so much peace and so much calmness and composure with where that's at, that the only logical way that this could be the case is if God has his hands in my life in what I'm doing. I shouldn't have peace with what it is that I'm dealing with. I shouldn't have clarity, but I do. And that's how I know it's God. And if you ignore his voice, like I've ignored his voice before, or I heard his voice, I acted and reacted, and then my logical side wanted to take over, so then I undid what God did for me. The pain and suffering that comes from that is unlike anything that I've experienced before. It's a true disheartening. It's a really tough place to be in. When you trusted God, you acted on God, and then along the way, you either stopped believing, stopped speaking to him, stopped listening. Something along the way stopped your journey. And if you didn't stop, where you would be now could be an entirely different dimension than where you are today. And when it comes to listening to God and inviting God into our life, we have to be so mindful and so particular about what it is that we're listening to, because if we let the enemy come in even just a little bit and we mistake that for the word of God instead of the word of the enemy, it's going to drive us way off course, and it's going to be a place that we are not happy in. We need to have discernment for the word of God. So one thing that I always like to do morning to night, no matter where I am, whether I'm at the gym, I'm driving, I could be brushing my teeth, in the shower, just waking up out of bed, going to bed. You know, wherever I am, I'm making room for God to speak. I'm inviting him into everywhere that I am. And I think that's one of the most important things that we can do in our lives right now, is to invite him in, inviting him in to every area of our life, letting him know that it's a comfortable place, it's a safe space, and his presence is not only being called upon by us, but we want it, we need it. So invite him in. You know, if we don't make room for God, he's not going to compete He's a very jealous God. He will not compete. He wants you to give him everything or give him nothing. He is a very jealous God, and it's amazing that we have a God like that, because you can't be just a little bit in and just a little bit out. You're either fully in, you're either fully on, or you're fully off. And that is your connection with God and Jesus Christ. So in order to be fully on, you have to turn off your distractions. You have to get off your phone. You have to schedule the quiet time. You have to make sure that the place and the space that you're inviting him into is a place that he would want to show up in. And whenever I'm reading the Bible with my wife, because usually on a nightly basis, we've been a little lackluster lately, but usually on a nightly basis, we will read 5 chapters in the Bible. And when we read those, we really like to dissect them. We like to enjoy what the word is telling us and seeing it from every angle possible, because God wrote this. God has hidden messages and hidden meanings in everything. When he speaks to us, just like he does through the word in the Bible, it's not always clear as day. We have to see between the lines. We have to see what he's saying and listening to his word as best as we possibly can. It's a code. We have to crack the code. And by cracking the code, we have to just be in alignment with God. We have to have good heart posture. We have to have our head on right. We have to have our emotions. We have to have our emotions in check. And we can't do that if we're constantly distracted by all of these other things. So I'm just going to leave off with one thing. And I know a lot of us are waiting to hear him, but the truth is, God is waiting to hear from every one of us. And I would push you and implore you to please reach out to him. Let him know his son, his daughter is alive and well. That the connection that he originally established before we were even born, because he knows us all, and he knew us before we were us. We are alive and well, and we are ready, willing, and able to partner with him and to help deliver his kingdom into where he wants it to be. And his kingdom is vast. You know, we think, oh, is another video really necessary? There's already, 1,000 videos created today. Yes, you have your own audience. You have your own people to speak to. You have your own family to reassure. You have yourself. And we have to think bigger. We have to believe bigger. We have to trust greater. And we have to have faith beyond logic. Hearing God's voice is never an easy task. But I would implore you to close your eyes, to sit with him, to thank him. Don't ask him for anything. Just work on connecting with him. Work on reaching his frequency, his hertz. Work on receiving. Work on sending, as if we are an antenna, as if he is an antenna. We need to connect on every level possible to be in alignment with him. And there's no greater place to be than there. I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next one. God bless.